Before this video really gets going, I'd like to take a moment to thank Paradox Interactive for sponsoring this video and sending me a copy of Age of Wonders 4 to check out. While they are sponsoring this video, everything I say within this are entirely my own thoughts on the game and my experience with it. Hello everyone! So amidst all the insanity of prepping for a wedding and all the hyped reveals in Warhammer Fest, I found a little game called Age of Wonders 4 being mentioned in my email. While I had heard of the publisher Paradox Interactive, the name always made me think of Stellaris, which is such an immensely deep 4X strategy game that it felt like I needed a doctoral degree from an Ivy League university to figure out what the hell was going on. So I'll admit initially I was hesitant, and I'd never played the Age of Wonders series, like none of the prior games, but it had actually been developed by Triumph Studios, who along with making the prior games in the AOW series, had made the Overlord games, which I actually am vaguely familiar with. Still, I'd never actually played any of these games, at least in a long time, and being short on time for everything that's going on in my life, just had to jump in completely blind without really knowing what I was getting into. That first session morphed from just a simple taste test into a delightful banquet, as I found myself utterly drawn in. I want to reiterate that I was up to my ears in things I needed to do, so I had planned for a couple of simple, very straightforward 2 to 3 hour sit-downs with Age of Wonders 4, and that first session ended up being 10 hours of utter addictive gameplay. I did not go to sleep that day and was a damn fool that just had to go without sleep the following day with other things I need to take care of. Every time I sat down to play this damn thing, my straightforward goals ended up being drowned under my sheer enjoyment, as I fell deeper and deeper into the absurd rabbit hole that is this game. To sum up Age of Wonders 4 in a single word, to me the thing that leaps out is customization. From the onset of starting a campaign, you can leap immediately into a large list of pre-made realms. There's a main story realm, which has a full narrative experience, or you can even create your own realm that has you able to customize the number of continents, the climate, what are the natural inhabitants, and you can even choose from a series of unique modifiers that drastically change the nature of the world you'll be attempting to dominate. Oh yeah, and you can even further customize the pre-made realms just to give yourself a stronger foundation if you so wish. I warn you, you can spend a lot of time on this screen, and this is like the simplest one. Once you manage to move past that particular series of options, you arrive to easily the most addicting part of the game in my opinion, though the gameplay itself is actually extremely good, which is creating your own race. The game provides you a solid list of pre-made races to choose from, who all have unique gimmicks and solid themes, which once again, you can edit to tailor more to your liking if you wish, but you could also just flat out create a race from scratch, which I have already spent an embarrassing amount of time doing. Starting from the base of racial traits and appearance, you can have humans, dwarves, elves, undead, toad people, cat people, mole people, hell, you even have the damn Skaven in this thing. There's also hosts of physical and mental traits to choose from, as well as a starting culture. So you could be barbarians that embrace a mixture of appreciation for the natural world and reveling in the chaos of combat, or you could go for something like mystics who are obsessed with magical power and researching the secrets of the arcane. You might be wanting a more delightfully sinister campaign where you are the villains under the dark culture, or focus on knightly valor to be found in the feudal culture. Though these aren't necessarily good or evil, because good and evil are determined by decisions that you make during your campaign. For instance, a race I made of my little Skaven guys, who I'll talk about a bit more later, I have gone pure evil, which took a little bit to accomplish. This continues ever onwards as far as customizing the races with societal traits and a starting tome. Tomes being immensely powerful books that contain knowledge capable of shaping your race. You start with one in your campaign, and as you research text from it, you will unlock the ability to select more tomes, and the more tomes you select, the more options you get and the more bigger and powerful text you get. And when I say shaping, I don't just mean simply selecting new spells and abilities or tech upgrades you can access over the course of the campaign, which they do include, but also literal transformation options that could turn your race demonic, undead, or even into more elemental creatures. Like, I had a quest that I was like, oh, this was just kind of a cool one-off that turned my Skaven-like race demonic, where they got demon wings and had like demonic abilities. And then I found out, nope, that's actually also just a flat-out transformation you could get to permanently alter your race. Or you could turn them all undead, like I said. Or when I was playing a campaign with a dwarf race I created, the dwarfs got the option to become more elemental. So they would like literally be kind of made out of rock creatures and gain various buffs relating to that. Anyway, I need to focus here or we're going to be here all day. But the last important things regarding the customization is you are then given a faction leader of your race who you can customize to your liking. So these could be mighty heroes and wizard kings who are able to equip whole slews of magical items to increase their power, learn all sorts of immensely unique and powerful abilities and spells as they level up, and also act as governors for your various cities, granting them additional bonuses. You can even choose their starting equipment. So are they wielding sorceress orbs, various types of ranged weapons, or some variation of melee weapons, all of which have different effects and abilities? Are they more of a supportive general? Are they out there buffing your troops or healing them or providing them with various like removing debuffs or applying debuffs onto enemies? Or are they unstoppable wizards unleashing terrifying spells to explode whole groups of enemies? Perhaps they're a badass warrior, so you're able to throw them at literally anything in the game and watch them just chop it into sushi. You decide. From there comes the final bit, which is also there's so many options. There's so many options, which is customizing the appearance of your faction hero and also your race in general. You have body type, height, hair color, faction colors, what type of mounts do they ride, etc. This thing is nuts. Once you've done all that, now you can actually start to play the game. As for the gameplay itself, something I've played that's very similar to this in many ways was Endless Legend by Amplitude Studios. The campaign is a hexagonal grid world where you focus on exploring the world while building up your cities, expanding to control surrounding areas through increasing your population, exploit the various resources and unique locations you find in the world, and exterminate your enemies in glorious battle. Classic 4X strategy game. However, this one has a few notable differences I want to focus on because, frankly, I have not played a 4X game that has made all of the other games I've played feel as old as they honestly are. This game is fresh and it feels like it. First of all, the combat system feels significantly more in-depth than I've seen in the past with prior 4X games. Not only are you dealing with different terrain features, modifiers caused by the environment or events, but also there are additional systems to consider like morale and a staggering number of different status effects. Fortunately, the game has an excellent encyclopedia that allows you to just mouse over underlying terms to quickly learn what exactly the effects are or what's going on. Furthermore, the battles can actually get quite massive. I played a campaign role-playing as Skaven, so a Ratman race centered around Chaos Affinity and Evil Affinity, who started with cultural traits of being able to swarm with lower tier units and also devour the corpses of the dead for health bonuses, as one does, even though it made all the other races not like me that much. As I had a swarm-based faction, while campaign armies are capped at 6 units per army, you can bring 2 additional armies into battle, so I often had 18 units flooding over the battlefields to drown martially superior foes with just hordes of furry bodies. I think you might actually even be able to get more troops, but furthermore, I even got, as I told you through the tomes, a transformation ability that made my units into swarms. So they became smaller, like literally their stature decreased a bit, but I had more guys per unit. So it was just tides of furry bodies devouring people, which was just delightful. I don't want to delve too deep into all the various systems throughout the game, as I have personally found the discovery to be immensely entertaining. I have had so many moments where I've been doing something or checking out some new upgrade and go, oh, I wonder what this does. And then I click on it and go, oh my God, that is amazing. And the absolute highlight of this game, at least for me personally, compared to other Fantasy 4X titles, is the sheer amount of stuff your heroes can do. Like I said, with Endless Legend and other 4X games, a lot of them kind of have the concept of you could have like heroes that you would assign to an army, and the heroes, they were okay, they were cool, they had fun little abilities and stuff, but these heroes are fun and they're scary. You can, of course, unleash them in wars to curb stomp enemies with a staggering assortment of powers and abilities, while they simultaneously are providing buffs to a city back home without needing to babysit those cities, which is great. But they can also enter ruins, which are found all over the campaign map, which embark the armies of that particular hero and the hero themselves on fascinating little mini stories, where you have to solve dilemmas that may result in fighting some genuinely difficult battles. My favorite one so far is that I have a particularly fond memory of my Skaven finding a Gorgon shrine, where I was, of course, given the typical option of, oh, there are these giant, terrifying snake monsters that worship a Gorgon goddess. Surely the thing we should do is to wipe out and kill these things. However, I saw another option that would increase my evil rating, where instead of fighting the giant snake monsters, I could simply just feed the population of the nearest city as sacrifices to them for my personal gain. So of course, I went and rounded up a bunch of peasants and started feeding them to giant snake monsters, which pleased the Gorgon god, and I was able to acquire control over the shrine without fighting the giant snake monsters, and also got some really fun buffs out of it, and increased my evil rating, which was important to me. The customization is just truly staggering, but still incredibly approachable and easy to pick up, which I found very, very important. There are a lot of games that have like endless customization and boundless depth, but they don't manage to make it approachable. It's so dense that, like, Stellaris is a good example of, you just kind of walk in and are like, I have no idea what's going on. There is so much text on the screen. I'm just like, I'm lost. And this is like, I don't have enough time for this. I am mortal. I am not going to live forever. I'm going to go outside and not be stressed out by this game. But Age of Wonders 4 is so much better streamlined. It is so much easier. Like, even if you're diving full into the customization at first, which you don't have to, like I said, there are plenty of pre-made options, and you can just select from the pre-mades. You just choose the ones you really, really like. They all have really good themes and such, which really simplify the process and allow you to just dive into the game much quicker. There's even kind of like a quick campaign mode that allows you to immediately dive in. But that is, I didn't even do that. I've never played this series before. Like, I have played 4Xs in the past, but it's been a really long time since I've actually sat down and played a good 4X, at least a few years. So I was genuinely really rusty on a lot of the concepts, but I was able to easily get into the swing of this within like 1 hour at the longest. Like, it was not hard at all to really pick up. Like, initially it can seem a little overwhelming because you just have like all these underlying terms, and whenever you go over an underlying term, it often will show you like other underlying terms, and you're just kind of like going down this hole of just like, oh, what does this mean? What does this mean? Okay, what does this mean? What does this mean? But once you really kind of get going with it, it's genuinely a lot of fun and not at all difficult to play, which is excellent and much more difficult to pull off than it may seem like. I have spent a lot more time with this game than frankly I had available at the time that I was working on this, and am really looking forward to being able to just stream it excessively on Twitch once I'm finally free from all the wedding obligations. I can, with the time I've put into this game already, over 15 hours, I would highly recommend this game, and personally, I cannot wait to continue exploring the depths of the secret it holds. Like, when I was about 10 hours in, I had only just discovered that naval combat had its own unique issues I had to deal with, and there's even purely naval units, because with the dwarfs and the Skaven kind of being the first races I designed, I did not realize that there was like ports that built their own units, which I should have realized. But when you go out to sea, all of your units are converted into ships, which is super cool. But then you can get actual ships, which are way better. So you can, anyway. Also, there are underground maps. You can even like find tunnels that lead you underground, and there's a completely separate like under map from the upper map that you go into, and you can run around and you can like design your race to be like more suited to underground. It's nuts. It's nuts. But in my Skaven campaign, I finally got my first mythic unit for my Skaven, which was a goddamn giant zombie dragon. So if you'll excuse me, there are countless innocents to be slaughtered and fed upon for my growing evil, chaotic shadow empire of barbarian ratmen, which is quite different from my first campaign of good, order, industrious dwarfs I made. But in any event, like I said, I would highly recommend this game. It comes out on May the 2nd, so please consider checking it out for yourselves and picking it up. I once again want to thank Paradox Interactive for sponsoring this video and sending me a copy of the game. Really appreciate them allowing me to have kind of the early access to check it out. And I will see you guys around. Thanks so much for watching. Take care.